As the first of an upcoming line of Ioniq-branded electric cars, Hyundai needs to put its best foot forward with the new Ioniq 5. Fortunately, the freshly debuted crossover makes a bold first impression with its geometric exterior design and the promise of big interior space, despite its compact footprint. But striking good looks will only get the Ioniq 5 so far. It will have to compete with the likes of Volkswagen's ID.4 and the Ford Mustang Mach-E, each bringing their own unique balance of value, performance and efficiency. Of course, the Ioniq will also have to contend with the 800-pound gorilla of this class, the Tesla Model Y. Small in stature and perhaps more of a tall hatchback than a CUV, the Hyundai may also find itself cross-shopped with the likes of the Nissan Leaf and Chevrolet Bolt. Eventually, it'll find itself in the similarly sized company of the Nissan Ariya and Bolt EUV. But for today, the Ioniq 5's 182.5-inch length makes it the second shortest model in this comparison, just edging out the 180.5-inch VW ID.4. The Model Y and Mach-E are notably longer at 187 inches and 186 inches, respectively. Width and height are similar proportionately, with all four models falling within a few inches of one another and the 74.4-inch wide and 63.2-inch tall Ioniq 5 landing in the middle of the pack. You might be surprised to learn that the little Ioniq 5 has the longest wheelbase of the pack at 118.1 inches from hub to hub. It's followed by the Mach-E, 117 inches, and the Model Y, 113.8 inches, with the ID.4 trailing the rest at just 108.9 inches. Hyundai's use of drive-by-wire and steer-by-wire technologies allow the Ioniq 5 to really push its wheels out to the extreme corners, resulting in short overhangs and more space in the cabin for people and cargo than its compact footprint suggests. Hyundai has not released specific passenger volume as of this writing, so we don't know exactly how TARDIS-like its interior really is. However, we do know that Hyundai gave the Ioniq 5 a fancy set of seats and a sliding center console aimed at making the cabin a more flexible space than we've seen in any of today's competitors. Hyundai did release cargo capacity, at least. The little Ioniq 5 boasts just 56.2 cubic feet of cargo space with its second row seats folded flat, a bit less than the 59.6 cubic feet found in the Mach-E and significantly less than the ID.4's 64.2 cubes. Tesla's numbers are a bit of a question mark. We know that it shares 68 cubic feet between its rear and generous front cargo areas, but we don't know exactly where the split happens. Speaking of frunks, the Ioniq 5 has one, sort of. North American models only have about 0.85 cubic feet of space beneath the hood for cargo, which isn't much at all. Meanwhile, the Mustang's got that big ol' 4.8 cubic foot waterproof frunk that can serve as a cooler, and Tesla's got about a carry-on bag's worth of space up front. The ID.4, however, doesn't have any underhood storage, devoting its engine bay to, well, powertrain stuff and electronics. The Ioniq 5 comes in standard and long-range configurations, boasting either 58 kWh or 77.4 kWh of respective capacity. The longest-range Ioniq 5 trim is estimated to return about 300 miles on the European WLTP cycle, using a slightly smaller 72.6 kWh battery that won't be available in the US. Our EPA cycle is usually a bit less forgiving, so expect that number to drop when the Ioniq 5 reaches the States. I'm guessing, based on some rough napkin math, it'll be around 260 to 270 miles, also accounting for our bigger battery, but take that with a big pinch of salt. For an electric car, one of the most important metrics separating the winners from the losers is range. For that, you usually need a big battery, but smart use of aerodynamics, tuning, thermal management and software can often be just as important as kilowatt-hours. For comparison, Volkswagen's ID.4 has a bigger 82 kWh battery, but just an estimated 250 miles of range. The Mach-E offers up to 300 miles from its largest 98.8 kWh pack. Meanwhile, Tesla's Model Y manages to squeeze as much as 326 miles from its smaller 75 kWh battery, which is downright impressive. On the other side of the range equation is the question of how quickly you can recharge the battery. The Ioniq 5 supports up to 350 kW DC fast charging and is able to rapidly fill to an 80% state of charge in as little as 18 minutes. That's about on par with the Model Y's 20-minute charge at the fastest supercharger stations, but remember that the Tesla probably packs more miles into that 80%. The Mustang Mach-E's 150 kW DC fast charge capability takes up to 45 minutes for an 80% charge with its biggest battery. Finally, the ID.4 has a 125 kW pipe and 38-minute rapid charging, slower but also shorter than the Mustang due to its smaller battery. While rear-wheel drive is standard, the Ioniq 5 can be had in a dual-motor, all-wheel drive configuration. For purposes of comparing performance, this is the setup, along with the larger battery, we'll be using against the Tesla Model Y Long Range, Ford Mustang Mach-E Premium and VW ID.4 Pro. So equipped, the Ioniq 5 boasts a total of about 306 horsepower between its two motors and combined 446 pound-feet of torque. The two-motor ID.4 Pro, which will follow the rear-wheel drive first edition later this year, brings up at the rear of the pack with 302 horsepower. Volkswagen doesn't list torque or a 0 to 60 mph time, but they're sure to be modest. Tesla also doesn't officially list horsepower or torque, but the general consensus is that it's packing about 384 horsepower and 376 pound-feet between its dual motors. With less torque, but more power than the Hyundai, the Model Y is the quickest of this bunch to 60 miles per hour, at just 4.8 seconds. Meanwhile, the 332 HP Mach-E targets the mid-5-second range with the extended range battery and AWD, according to Ford. Ford and Tesla have more powerful trims, Mach-E GT Performance and Model Y Performance, that can each sprint to 60 miles per hour in just 3.5 seconds, but they're a bit too potent and pricey for this apples-to-apples comparison. If money wasn't an object, we'd all be driving Porsche Taycan turbos and Tesla Model S Plaid. But in this small SUV class, value for the dollar is a very important metric. Hyundai hasn't released pricing for the 2022 Ioniq 5 yet, but we're hoping that it will be competitive at least with Volkswagen ID.4's manufacturer's suggested retail price starting at $39,995 before its yet unknown destination charge or any tax incentives or rebates. The Mach-E starts just above $43,000, but that's for the standard range rear-wheel drive model. More range or performance come at an additional cost. The Tesla Model Y has the highest starting price of the bunch with a suggested price of $47,490 for the long-range model. The Tesla also justifies its price with the longest range of the group, longer even than the most expensive version of the Mach-E.
So what are your thoughts on the EVs and which one would you prefer to buy? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to give us a like if you like the video and subscribe the channel for all the latest auto updates.